there what you're drinking. 2 shots, let's pour it out. I know what you're thinking, but tomorrow won't come for us. This life that we're living, ain't never gonna give it up. Double shot for the gifted, and one more for us. There you go, drink it up. All this love in a cup. Yeah, we go slow, we go fast. Yeah, we can't get enough. We stay all day, all night, living in paradise.
Yo guys, hello and welcome back to episode 7 of my Minardi My Team career mode on F1 26. Here for the Canadian Grand Prix. If you did miss the last episode out in Miami, go and check that out before any spoilers. So last time out in Miami, it was a pretty disappointing performance, all things considered. No points scored for either of the drivers. So yeah, not ideal at all. But yeah, before we get into the Canadian Grand Prix, just going to apply a few more upgrades to Gabriele Mini's car. We will be driving as him today here in Canada for the sprint race and the main Grand Prix. So without any further ado, let's get into sprint qualifying. So coming into our first banker lap on SQ1 here in Canada. Decent banker lap, but we're going to cross the line and it's only going to be P23. But our second and final lap here in SQ1, and we get a nice little tow from Valtteri Bottas on the back straight. And we're going to be a second up going into the final, which came 1.1 seconds up going across the line. And are we going to make it into SQ2? We are, by the looks of it, P11. And that turns in to, I think, P15. So yeah, we managed to get through into SQ2, and again on used tyres we are going to go across the line for a banker P16 currently. And there, our final lap in SQ2, only a 3.5 tenth improvement, and only puts us up into P13. So we have not made it through into SQ3, wasn't expecting it, but P14 on the grid. And yeah, getting straight into the sprint race here. We got 5 red lights and it's lights out and away we go on the hard compound tyres here in Canada. Decent getaway, not making up any positions so far until we get Colapinto into turn 2. So yeah, decent there. Lando Norris having a poor session ahead of us. And yeah, side by side, nearly hitting the back of the Alpine there, Pierre Gasly. We managed to avoid him though, and going into the next corner, we're going to send it down the inside of the Alpine man, getting P12 on the opening laps. A really good move there. Bit squirmy on the exit, but we get the power down, get the boost on. We're going to hold that position. Too wide into the corner ahead of us, Ocon and Albon by the looks of it. Norris starting to look interested. He's going to go for it on the Williams man while we cruise up to the back of the three of them. Norris with a poor exit though, out of the hairpin, and we are going to take advantage of that. We are going to get in the slipstream, put the boost on, and we're going to fly past the McLaren man. Too wide ahead of us, too wide ourselves. Norris brakes a little bit later, but we have the right line and the better run into the final chicane, and we get the job done. So yeah, decent start, P11 on the opening lap here. Still side by side ahead of us, but towards the end of lap 2 now. We've managed to keep Norris behind, and they're still going side by side into turn 1. So we are going to send it up the inside of Esteban Ocon into turn 1, getting the position already up into P10 in this Grand Prix. So good stuff from the Minardi man there. And a lap later, we get our first track limit warning. Turning in a little bit too early to the blind right-hander, but moving on to the end of the lap, and Albon is looking very interested on Charles Leclerc, but he gets a poor run and he's out of battery. We're going to hang it round the outside into turn 1. A little bit of a squeeze to the inside there, but we get the job done yet again. P9 in this Grand Prix. Moving on towards the end of lap 5 now, and Norris is really starting to put the pressure on. He goes up the inside of the final chicane again, but we do the exact same thing and hold the outside line. Bit more of a squirmy exit this time, but we hold the position. Still P9 in this Grand Prix. And then yet again, same corner, another track limit warning for us. So yeah, not ideal, having to be very careful for the remainder of this race. And going into the hairpin on lap 7, we're getting really defensive from Norris, and it ends up being a send on Carlos Sainz. So we are going to take that P8 now in 1 championship point behind Charles Leclerc. And yeah, we're just checking with the race engineer because a lot of people are on mediums around us. And he says he's got another stop, and that stop will be this lap. So he is going to box in this Grand Prix and hand us P7 as Fernando Alonso retires from the Grand Prix. But Norris is not going anywhere. He's looking down the outside into turn 1. We're going to hold the inside, which turns to the outside for turn 2. A little bit squirrely, but we managed to get the traction down. Norris is still there though. So we are going to hold it round the outside yet again, which fortunately for us turns to the inside, and we hold the position. Brief yellow flag there, still from Fernando Alonso, but Norris was still putting the pressure on, so we decided to let him go and not waste any more time in this Grand Prix. Still P8, 1 championship point, and yeah, that was pretty much it for the rest of the race. We managed to stay with Isaac Hadjar. Actually, we caught up Isaac Hadjar as Norris managed to fly past him as well, but we're going to cross the line for 1 championship point in the sprint race.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
So a really good start to the sprint race here in Canada. 1 championship point for the Minardi boys and Gabriele Mini. Nicholas Solov P18, so not an ideal race for him, but we're going to move straight in to our first lap in qualifying. P20 on our banker originally, obviously moving down to last, and we're going to go for the final lap in Q1. A little bit squirmy out of the final chicane, 6/10 improvement, and that is going to put us in P17, so just squeaking through into Q2 only by less than 1/10 of a second, nearly 1,000th of a second, or 100th of a second I should say, from the Canadian Lance Stroll. So yeah, really good opening round of qualifying there. Banker lap in Q2 on used tyres doesn't really do anything for us, but going onto our final lap in qualifying, we make a nice improvement through turn 1, turn 2, 3/10 up already. Going to throw it into the blind right-hander, a little bit late on the turn-in compared to what you want to be, but we are still 3/10 up going into the end of the first sector. A little bit of a slide, but actually helps us for rotation there. Decent traction on the exit of that corner as well, really struggling there all weekend. And 7.5 temps up now. Cutting the right-hander there nicely. Now a second up going into the hairpin as the flag drops for this session. A little bit early on the brake and the turn in there, but 1.3 seconds up now, 1.4 seconds going onto the back straight. Going to dump the rest of the battery. And all we have to worry about now is the final chicane, the brake in, the line. Nearly 1.5 seconds up going into it. We absolutely throw it. Little bit of a late turn into the right there, but we are still 1.5 seconds up. And that is going to be P12. Not quite making it through there into Q3, but that was a really good lap, and we were not going to gain an extra 5-6 tenths there. So that is probably as much as we could have hoped for. Maybe P11, but let's get into the race.
Time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Oscar Piastri lines up on pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Antonelli, Hamilton, George Russell and Sainz, Hadjar, Albon, Colapinto and Gabriele Mini, Bottas, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Ocon, Bortoletto, Perez, Lance Stroll, and Nicholas Soloff. Gasly, Lawson, Hulkenberg, Lindblad, Behrman, and Fernando Alonso rounds off the grid. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So a decent qualifying performance for us here, just outside the top 10. So we are going to go aggressive on the strategy, starting on the soft compound tyres, going to the mediums, going to the hards. But yeah, we have got 5 red lights again here in Canada. And it's lights out and away we go, off the line, getting good traction. Franco Colapinto ahead of us, getting boxed in there, and we're going to go down the inside of the Alpine man. Try and have a little look around the outside of Isaac Hadjar and Alex Albon, but they get the better line and better traction. Backing off into that right-hander so we do not run into the back of Albon, but again, like Gasly, we're going to send it down the inside of Albon into that left-hander. On the hard compound tyres, we need to try and make up as many positions as possible on these softs because they will not last very long. And just like that, end of lap 1 down the back straight, we managed to get a better run on Hadjar out of the hairpin, get that job done before the final corner. Already up into P7 in this one. Really good start. Russell and Sainz going side by side. Hadjar has a little look back down into turn 1, but nothing doing there. And yeah, a lap later, start of lap 4. We're going to go for it on George Russell. He's not looking very good at the moment in this race. So we send it down the inside into turn 1 and we get the job done again. Really nice move. Brief yellow flag at the end of lap 4. Hadjar is looking for the move. He gets the move done and Gabriel Bortoleto is out of the Canadian Grand Prix. No safety car, nothing like that. So decent. Halfway through lap 5. Verstappen, after getting knocked out in Q2, manages to get the run in the middle sector and we don't fight that, we let him go. He is much faster than us at the moment. These tyres are really starting to wear and go off. George Russell looking for it into the final chicane, we let him go as to not lose another position to Albon, but yeah, we're starting to fall back a little bit in this race at the moment, but we're going to send it down the inside again on George Russell into turn 1. We like that move on the British man there. And yeah, holding on to P8 currently. But moving into the hairpin on lap 8, Leclerc has now managed to get past. We get really squirrely into the hairpin. The tyres are really going off and we are going to let Leclerc go because we're going to box this lap, and hopefully that means we are going to get the overtake for our out lap.
Understood.
And yeah,
this lap.
Leclerc on the hard tyres, no point fighting that. We get it stopped nicely in the pit lane. P9, we went into the pits. Can we have a good stop from the boys yet again in this career mode? And it doesn't look like it. 4.6 second pit stop, absolutely killing us here, and we're going to come out in P22, so nearly last, but that doesn't last long though. On lap 11, Nico Hulkenberg is looking vulnerable out of the turn 2, and we send it down the inside into the tight right-hander, and yeah, get the job done. A little bit later in the lap, we send it down the inside into the hairpin on Fernando Alonso, trying not to get holed up behind these guys as we are basically on the undercut right now. And Russell managed to get out ahead of us, but he has been held by the likes of Nicholas Solov ahead, so we are going to make the most of this. Get in the slipstream, put the boost on, go to the outside, squeeze him to the inside of the final chicane, and we're going to get the job done. Into the final corner, Arvid Lindblad and Nicholas Solov fighting like crazy ahead of us. So we are going to send it down the inside of our teammate and hope that he doesn't turn in, and fortunately for us, he doesn't. So yeah, good putting a car between us and George there. We have to wait until the end of the lap, unfortunately. to be able to have a look on Arvid, and we're going to go down the inside of him, and we end up making the double overtake into the hairpin on Lance Stroll as well. So good double overtake there up into P16 towards the end of lap 13. Getting a really good exit though halfway through lap 14 out of that tricky traction zone. We're going to go to the outside of Ollie Behrman into the middle sector chicane, just about keeping it within track limits. So another good move there, and we're slowly making our way back through the field on the guys that haven't boxed yet. And we're going to do a Hakkinen from Spa and go around the outside of Lawson. Unfortunately, Perez pits on that lap, so yeah, up into P9 now as our teammate boxes. Valtteri Bottas ahead of us now in the other Cadillac. And on the next lap, he actually boxes. So that gives us the position there up into P7 now, with a few others making their pit stops. So yeah, tyres now really starting to get worn, and towards the end of the stint, lap 20, and we're going to box again. Charles Leclerc going to the inside. We pinch him so he doesn't get the ideal line, but can we have a good stop here for the second time? And it's another slow stop. It's even worse than the last one, 5 seconds. So that's an extra 5 seconds with the both stops being added on basically. So that is really poor for us. And that means we're going to exit the pit lane behind our teammate and behind an extra 2 or 3 cars. So we're going to waste no time. We're going to go up the inside of Solov, but he turns into us. Our teammate making contact. Yes, we were a bit aggressive up the inside, but we're on the fresher rubber and we have the different strategies in this race. So he probably should have let us go, but we're not going to worry about that anymore. P21, we're going to get a good exit off the hairpin and go to P20 on lap 21. George Russell has managed to undercut us again though, as we get our first track limits warning of the race. We're going to get in the slipstream, put the rest of the boost on, and we're going to send it down into turn 1, but this time we're not quite alongside George there, so we have to back out of it, but we're going to get a decent exit off that next corner, and he's struggling on them tyres already, so we're going to go down the inside really aggressively into the blind right-hander. And yeah, we're going to get the job done on George there. That's probably my best move of the race so far. And yeah, again, lap 23, we're going to go to the outside of Stroll like we did Ollie Behrman earlier in the Grand Prix. So yeah, just trying to work our way back through the field again. Going to go down the inside of Lawson here. We think better of it as he goes defensive, so he switched to the outside and try and get the switch back. He parks on the apex though, and we get a superior exit. So that is up into P16 as we get a brief yellow flag there. Not sure for what, but end of the lap now, and we get a decent run out of the final chicane, and we managed to overtake Sergio Perez. Valtteri Bottas ahead of us yet again, and on that next lap we fly by him on the back straight. So yeah, dispatching the Cadillacs a lot quicker this time, which makes our life a bit easier as we get a really good run through the first sector here. Bit of a squeeze to the outside from Ollie, but I don't think he was expecting us, in all fairness. And we make the move stick at the end of sector 1 as we get a really big snap of oversteer on these hard compound tyres, wearing not that bad, but yeah, end of lap 26 now on the back of Arvid Lindblad, getting the battery on, gonna fake to the inside, go to the outside, and we get the job done before the final chicane. So another relatively easy move there as Charles Leclerc pits. So that is going to promote us up into P10 in this Grand Prix. So back in the points. Really, really good race so far. Only 8 laps remaining. And towards the end of lap 29, Charles Leclerc is going to have a little lunge down the inside of the hairpin. On the soft compound tyres, they're really working for him at the moment. He gets a lot better traction. And unfortunately, there's not much we can do about it until we get in the slipstream, get the battery on. Sainz is looking very interested on the outside as well. making it 3 wide briefly. We managed to dispatch Leclerc. Sainz gets past us, but we hold it up the inside. No contact made there, so really, really good overtake up into P6 now with a few others boxing, but yeah, that was really nip and tuck whether we were going to have contact there, but that was pretty much it for this race. The guys behind started to battle a bit. We got the gap up to about 2 seconds. And yeah, we're just going to go through this final lap being very wary of the track limits. And yeah, about a second to Isaac Hadjar behind us, who is actually rapidly approaching us. It was Sainz and Leclerc behind us for the final few laps, but he has managed to pick his way through, and he is not done yet. Our tyres are starting to wear, but we have to be really careful of the track limits now. We do not want any more warnings. A 3-second penalty would absolutely kill us in this Grand Prix, as Lewis Hamilton wins the Canadian Grand Prix. So a really good performance there from the Ferrari driver, winning at the first place he ever won here in Formula One in his debut season. But it's not over yet. Hadjar is still rapidly approaching us. We've drained all of our battery. Having to be really careful into this final chicane as to not invalidate. And yeah, Hadjar gets a really good exit. It's going to be a run to the line, but the straight isn't long enough, and we are going to take home P6 in this Grand Prix. A really good performance from the Minardi man yet again.
Well, that
So
was
managing
certainly
to
an
pick up
exciting
driver of the
weekend
day
of Formula
here in
One.
Canada,
Be sure to
which is
join
a
us
nice
for more
touch. But
exciting Formula One
Lewis
action
Hamilton
very
wins
soon.
the Canadian Grand Prix. Lando Norris, Max Verstappen on the podium. P6 for us, P19 for Solov. So good point scoring results for us this weekend. Double point scoring finish in the sprint and the race. So yeah, marked improvement from Miami, which is all we can ask for. P10, P12 in the drivers, and just behind Williams in P6 in the constructors. So things are looking good. Things are looking up for us here at Minardi. And yeah, that is going to be it from me, guys, in this episode. Thank you all so much for joining me for the Canadian Grand Prix. Next time out in Monaco, it's going to be a difficult one. So yeah, stick around for that. And thank you all so much again, guys. If you enjoy this kind of content, leave a like, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see in the comments. And yeah, have a good evening. Cheers.
Hey, Chief, we've got multiple parts out of research. Don't forget to develop them. We've